I'm Queen, Bywithania. Chrysalis, shouts Twilight across the room as you enter, almost spitting your name with the contempt in her voice. The sense now. You had made it to the map room, or the throne room, whatever the ponies wanted to call it, their inner sanctum. Colorful bodies of incapacitated ponies and guards littered the halls behind you, and now it was just Twilight Sparkle, alone. No one was coming to help her. There would be no surprises, no speeches. There was no prize to claim here other than to secure victory. Twilight had to be defeated on principle alone, not because the castle or even the town it resided in had any value, but because she would never stop until one of you were vanquished. This time I will make no mistakes, princess, you reply, matching her spite. The two of you are stuck still, watching, waiting. You had to be patient. The temptation to lash out and strike was overwhelming, but you knew that to gain the advantage you had to wait for her to move first. There's no one left, you can't, it's just you now. Take away all your friends, and what else remains? Just a pony. All alone with nothing but your wits against my will. It worked. Twilight's legs tense up as she began to move, and you could react faster. She moves left, aiming her horn for a magical blast, and you duck under the violet beam. You leap onto the map table, hooves skating across the lens of Equestria you would soon control, and return fire. Not directly at her mind. Brute force of magic is not how to beat this pony. You needed to control the fight, dominate her until she was exhausted of stamina, of magic, and then finally of life force. Your harlequin ray of magic struck a hole in the quartz wall in front of Twilight, forcing her to an abrupt halt, and with a look of alarm she turns tail, to run the other direction. Exactly as you planned. You have to close the distance, and get close to her. At range she would outmatch your magic, but you were physically bigger and more powerful. Strength would be your advantage. You leap from the table, and the two of you collide with your chest punching into her shoulder, knocking her into the wall. You were controlling the fight, now was the moment to advance it. While Twilight scrabbled with her forelegs to get up again, you wrap your own hooves around her hind legs, open your mouth wide, and stuff her hooves into your gullet. Twilight cries out in shock as she felt the fleshy folds envelop her hind legs, twisting her head this way and that to try and face you. But before she could wriggle free of your grasp you pull her hind quarters up against your chest, before wrapping your hind legs around her neck in an improvised headlock, smooshing your powerful thighs against the sides of her head. What are you doing? She spluttered, firing 1, 2 and then 3 random magical bursts to graze your legs, startle you, anything to escape this humiliating hold. You give a single satisfactory squeeze with your legs, to feel her face press into your crotch, burying her muzzle between the lips of your pussy. But before you can gain satisfaction, you have to win the fight. It's back to work on swallowing down her rump, emblazoned with her magical cutie mark, that will soon fuel your body. Her taste is salty, a damp sweat under her fur coat. Is she afraid of you? The great Twilight Sparkle who has thwarted your plans time and time again, who stood in this room with so much bravado is now trembling slightly as your mouth engulfs her hips. There's no time to ponder further, you have to keep going. Afraid or not she's dangerous, and you've never been so close to winning before. With a powerful swallow that stretches your throat to its limits, her flanks vanish down your throat, a huge bulge pushing your shoulders apart on its way down your chest. You fend of her flailing hooves, and keep one forehoof pressed firmly against the top of her head to stop that lethal horn from pointing anywhere other than away from you. The room is filled with the rough sound of her wordless struggles, your own muffled exertions, and wet gulps. Finally Twilight's head is in your mouth, and her forelegs are stuck pointing out, unable to move in any other direction. Leaning against the wall you press your hooves into hers, filling her smaller frame squeeze down the length of your body, until she is confined to your expanded belly. You moan out a sigh of brief respite, but the final boss is never this easy. This is merely the first act of the battle. Twilight finds new desperation as she fights against the fleshy walls around her that try to knead and squash her body into submission, and it fuels a second wind in the princess. Woe over the strong heat of a love-filled body inside of you. You feel bubbling magic welling up. She's going to teleport herself out. Focusing on the alien well of energy locked inside your middle, you begin to draw a slow and steady breath, sucking up the energy emanating from inside. This quickly puts a damper on Twilight's escape attempt, but she redoubles her efforts, seeking to overwhelm you. She might even succeed as well, while you're feeding from the immense raw power fueling her magic. Too much of it could destroy you. You need to channel it elsewhere before it burns you to ash, and there's certainly one way you know to vent an excess of love. Running your forehooves down your chest, and over your engorged belly, pressing into its soft and twitching expanse. You push the energy down to your loins, until the plush folds of your pussy begin to burn with fiery heat, oozing juices that practically evaporate with warmth and magical energy. Your sonorous voice echoes around the room as your body goes into an overdrive of lust and exhilaration. The more you can stoke this fire, the greater your chances of overcoming the powerful alicorn wrestling with your belly. Twilight moans inside you as her magic is siphoned off into your dominating sexual bliss. She's trying to shut off her magic, but it's like trying to hold a hoof over a burst water pipe gushing with pressure, until finally you reach climax in a glorious squirt of gelatinous changeling slime onto the floor in front of your spread legs. The burst flashes back onto Twilight, and her magic abruptly fizzles out like a candle in a gust of wind. The well inside the princess is brimming with plenty more power that you can sense within, but the sudden cutoff has bought you a window of opportunity, where she cannot call on magic for at least a moment. Breathing heavily, your wobbling gut in front of you moving this way and that seemingly with a mind of its own as the ongoing struggles of Twilight's bid to escape continue. You reach the final stage of the fight. You have to claim her body, before she can recover, and make it your own. Your legs are weak from the shattering orgasm that reverberated through your body, and if Twilight manages to recover before you do, it's all over. She would teleport out in the blink of an eye and you'll be a helpless mess before her, easy prey to a disintegrating beam of magic. You set to work with your forehooves, pressing into the big round mound of your belly, pushing the struggling princess inside into a ball, offering no quarter or respite. Twilight tries to straighten her back and exert her strength, and for a moment it feels like her head is pushing back into the bottom of your esophagus. You feel a twinge in your gut. If you're not careful, she'll force you to throw up, expunging her from your clutches. Pressing a hoof to your throat above the bulge of her head to inhibit any progress, you take 2 calming breaths and swallow several times, contracting waves traveling back down, and forcing Twilight back into her stomach prison. You belch loudly, purple sparks of the last remnants of her magic flying from your mouth accompanied by a curl of smoke. The sudden compression of your gut breaks her stance, and she collapses into a fetal position, while your struggling hooves are suddenly met with no resistance and pressed down hard. The princess and your stomach are forced down to the lower half of your body, and on a whim you twist onto your side and swing your hind legs together, squeezing your belly between powerful queen-sized thighs. The force crushes Twilight's softening limbs together, and the last hope of her escape is squashed into a lavender dough within your belly. The threat is over, but the work unfinished. There can be no risks now. No matter how sure you are that no one is coming to help her, you must ensure that Twilight is gone forever. As glorious as it would be to entrap the precocious mare in your belly for a week, until she turned to jelly, it would only leave the possibility of rescue open to an unseen savior, missed by your underlings. With Twilight gone, even a surprise attack against you would be futile. You activate your changeling magic again, gyrating your hips against the mush of Twilight Sparkle's defeated body, and your stomach rubs green juices into the mix, thinning the princess out into a sloshing soup that bubbles, and sends hiccups up your throat. Slowly rising onto your tired, but victorious hooves, you waddle back to the map table and climb onto it, flopping down belly first on top of a wet cushion of pony-infused slime within your gut. As you sigh in relief, your body spreads out like a settling water balloon, and your gurgling belly covers the map of Equestria. You can feel the soup inside you spreading through your lower gut, being absorbed and spreading throughout your body, your mass inflating slowly with fresh pudge. Despite the process being natural, you can't help but feel like another force is still inside you, trying to escape. Your hips expand with glorious new padding, your shoulders and chest puff out, and you even feel a little roundness in your cheeks. You've taken on enough energy and plush storage to fuel the rest of your campaign, to assert yourself as Queen of Equestria, and with Twilight nothing more than the comfortable seat of your rump, nobody can stop you. Somewhere on your heavy area you feel it twitch, a tremble of your marshmallow rump. You stand up, newly enhanced muscles bearing your immense weight, and look down your flanks. Your hips move slightly, an involuntary struggle, as if something is trapped within them. Unbelievably, Twilight is still struggling. Not even with a body of her own anymore, she is nothing more than punch, and still she quivers with indignation. "Oh my, Twilight," you say to the room, feeling your hind cheeks compress, and massage your still heated pussy between them. "Look at what's become of you. Never stop fighting back there. Your struggles are nothing more but pleasure to me now. If you're lucky, my minions will leave your closest friends unscathed for me to add to my glorious form, and then you will not be alone as what's left of your mind is burnt off while I exercise." To drive your point home, you sit down hard, feeling your cheeks spread on the map table, rubbed into the damp spot that your leaking folds have left behind. What a befitting end to the troublesome princess. At the point when you no longer cared about enslaving her, she ended up serving you in the most humiliating way possible.
That's all, Zipsters! Like and subscribe.